Welcome back to Dragon Army Books. My name is Dustin, and this is a review of Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shards of Earth. And straight at the beginning of this review, I've got to say thank you to Ellen and Orbit Books, which, by the way, Orbit is absolutely killing it with so many incredible releases, so many amazing authors, so many incredible covers of books, like the reveals and all of these things. I want to read almost every single book that is coming out by Orbit, and that is a really cool thing. Like, honestly, there are a few publishing houses that I've got as like, I keep an eye on these publishing houses because there's regularly good content coming from them. Quickly rising to the very top of that list is Orbit. And so, one, amazing Orbit. That's fantastic. And every person that I've interacted with from Orbit has been absolutely kind and welcoming me to the book community. So that's absolutely cool. But then secondly, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to get an early copy of this book to read and to review it. That is why I'm able to talk about it extensively here today. Shards of Earth is the first entry in the Final Architect series, and it is a space opera in every sense of the word. So everything that I'm about to say plot-wise is going to sound so massive and expansive in scope that it is probably going to seem overwhelming to you, but that's what space operas are, so welcome! While there is a large cast in this novel, there are two characters in particular that are at the forefront. We've got Myrmidon Executor Solace, who is among this elite engineered class of warrior women known as the Partheni. And then we've got Idris Telemier, who is a genetically modified human. He is an intermediary. I think they've even hardwired his brain so that he can do a few things. One of them in particular is to pilot spaceships across the far reaches of space. They do this through unspace. He is able to kind of stay awake, stay alert, and pilot ships in a way that other humans or even AI is currently unable to do, at least to the degree that he does. So that's one major thing, but also in a recent history, we've been able to determine that these intermediaries also have the ability to be used as a weapon against these moon-sized aliens known as the Architects. 50 years ago, Earth was completely destroyed by this alien species, the Architects, and it wasn't even a battle, was not even a war. Earth had a brief warning and everybody fled into the far reaches of space as Earth was completely warped and distorted and turned into a beautiful flower. Everything was completely demolished and obliterated. However, Solace and Idris were able to become friends and save the day. But now 50 years later, they're meeting back up on the ship called the Vulture God that is just going through space and finding, wreckage and being able to sell it for profit. And so we've got those two characters. We've got the cast, the unlikely cast of varying alien and human species on the Vulture God, which are all fun to get to know. And they are all on a mission together when they come up on a ship that has also been distorted and warped and turned into a flower, kind of like Earth was. Have the Architects returned? That is the question that begins this novel as the story, as the plot unfolds from there into this absolutely epic, massive, overwhelming space opera. Okay, believe it or not, this is my first Tchaikovsky novel. I'm not proud of that. I've heard very, very good things about some of his sci-fi work, but I've just never gotten around to it. It's always been on a distant list of mine to get around to him. So this is my first, and it's exceptional. He's a great sci-fi writer. I understand why people like him, but I cannot overstate how chunky of a sci-fi novel, space epic, space opera this is. Thankfully, the back of the book has a list of common terms that are used in the book that are brand new, that are created. It's also got a cast of characters with a brief explanation of who they are and what kind of alien species they are, and then there's a whole list of what these alien species are. There's a whole list of various worlds and ships. You've got a full compendium at the back of this book that helped me, but it's one of those books where I'm really having to read on one page while holding my finger at the back of the book so that I can quickly get to there and read. It's just a back and forth experience. If you don't like that, you just need to know that coming into it, you're going to be very, very, very lost, even with some of that work that you've got to do at the back of the book. But if you're doing that work, if you're willing to go back and forth and learn, not just in the first few pages, but really all the way throughout the book, then you'll be able to handle it. You just need to know that going in, that it is going to take some work on your part. But if you're willing to put in the work, there is some of the richest world building that I've experienced in sci-fi literature in a long time here in Shards of Earth. There are a plurality of alien species that feel alien. Sometimes in sci-fi literature that I read, we get alien species that are just human 2.0, right? They're just another version of human. Even, I don't know, maybe this is blasphemous. I don't know why it came to my mind, but like even Jabba the Hutt. I know that he looks very different and he doesn't have legs, but he's got his bulbous head and he's got two eyes and he's got a nose and he's got a mouth and he's got two arms and he's got very human identifiers and actions and behaviors and motivations. These alien species that Tchaikovsky comes up with are very varied and very interesting. One in particular are these things called the Hivers, and they are a species of alien that are made up of a knot of cyborg roaches, and they feel somewhat robotic, and the further they are away from their hive or home or group or family, the loopier they become. They can break themselves apart and they can reassemble, and it's just a very cool kind of alien species there, and we get a few of them throughout the galaxy, along with one in particular on the Vulture God that's a part of kind of that main cast. That's just one example of one of the alien species that is here in this story. There's a lot, and even not all of the humans are the same. There's not any kind of normal anymore, which is very cool in a sci-fi novel. That is also just one example of some of the world building that Tchaikovsky does. He is not afraid of throwing out a word after word or concept after concept or ship name after governmental, he does this time and time again. And I guess I'm just restating, it can be overwhelming or it can be exciting to be able to flip back and actually kind of understand the world. This first book really felt like it was all set up, not only set up, but all set up for the rest of what is going to come in this expansive series. My stance is, if Tchaikovsky is able to do what he hopes to do, and what this first book promised and paved the foundation for, and he's able to do that in another 3, 4, 5, 6 books, there's going to be something uniquely special about this series. It might end up being one of the greats. I don't even know if it's fair to do this, but if I was taking world building and character creating and storytelling as 3 different elements, although they blend in every story, if I was taking those as 3, I would probably, for Tchaikovsky in Shards of Earth, I would probably rank them as follows. World building is probably going to be at the top. He does a lot of it, and it's show, not tell, although there is a lot of, exposition as well. But it's not even just world building, it's worlds building, galaxies building. But I really love the unique systems that he comes up with. World building is at the top. Right close to that, though, is our character designs, just really giving us a unique cast of characters. I think the longer we spend with them, the more depth we'll find in them, and the differentiation between motivation and personalities we'll be able to explore and discover. And then I would drop it down a few rungs for storytelling. I think a little bit of the storytelling is sacrificed here in this book for the world building and the character design. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. It's a decision that he had to make, but my hope is that with the foundation, with the foundation that is laid here, he's able to tell more meaningful, full of feeling stories as the series continues. I ended up giving Shards of Earth a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I wanted probably a little bit less world building, could have kept character the same, brought up kind of the storytelling, and maybe that would have been the perfect novel for me. But again, it goes back to this is a chunky one, and so I don't think it's going to be everyone's preferred genre, but if you like that chunky sci-fi, if you like Leviathan Wakes and other stuff like that, then hey, I think you might have a new favorite in the Final Architect series. What did you think of Shards of Earth? Let me know down in the comments below. And one other quick bonus question. What's your favorite alien species in any kind of sci-fi? Let me know that as well. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch and like this video. If you haven't yet, click subscribe, join the Dragon Army, and we'll see you in the next one.